welcome back to Hawkeye's House of Horrors. I am Hawkeye, and tonight I'm going to do a review to the Blade Runner sequel, and that is Blade Runner 2049. And yes, this is going to be good. I do hope. Absolutely, it's going to be terrific. To tell you right off the top, I saw this one first. I've seen it 3 times now. But I saw it first with my wife at the theater. And I thought it was great. I thought to myself, hey, that movie is comparable to the first one. Then I went out and I bought the film. Saw it again after that. But this is it here. Bought it on DVD. I don't know why I didn't get it on Blu-ray, but I didn't. Anyways, I went and bought it on DVD. Watched it at home, and the film wasn't as good for me on the second viewing. And then I was afraid, boy, am I going to give this a stinky review? Well, on the third watch, it's recovering. I'll go that far. And I will say I definitely recommend this film. Absolutely to fans of the original. Even it says on the back, doesn't depend on if you've even seen the original. I guess so. Sure. Watch the original. But I really warmed back up to the film on the third viewing. But I'm going to do a review for it now. And it is a bit of a mixed bag, though. It's all not amazing to me. I have heard some people state that this film is a masterpiece. I disagree. The films that I have reviewed so far, I think there's only 2 that I've done that I would think of as a masterpiece. To me, we are all different. It's just my point of view, but like The Shining and Empire Strikes Back, I think they were, in my opinion, masterpieces. But we all look at film differently, right? But I'll try and bring within this review certain things that I found that really hold it back from being a masterpiece in my mind, or even perhaps as good as the original. But please remember, it took maybe 4 viewings of the original to really fall in love with that film. And I haven't seen this film that many times, so maybe that's what it takes. Another viewing to get me over the fence, perhaps. All right, so this film was directed by Denis Villeneuve. The story, this is something I really like. It was done by Hampton Fancher. Now, he did the original screenplay to the original Blade Runner. And then David Webb Peoples was brought in by Ridley Scott to do some rewriting for him to get the screenplay really where he wanted it. Now, the screenplay is done by Fancher as well as Michael Green. I've seen some of his films he's written for. He was one of the writers for Logan. And he also was one of the guys that did the story to Alien Covenant. And he did the 3 Poirot films as well. I've seen the first 2 in the theater. I really like them. I need to see the third one. I keep forgetting about it. I really need to see that one. But so he's written some successful films, including this one, for sure. Now, it was distributed by Warner Brothers in the U.S. and Canada. Internationally, it was done by Sony. Now, it had a big budget, this baby. It had a budget of maybe anywhere up to 185 million, I read. In today's dollars, that's 2025. That would be a budget of $241.4 million. That is an enormous budget. Now, at the box office, it did not perform as well as they thought it would. Kind of like the original one. It did pull in some money at the box office, though. Like, Unfortunately, that's a big budget, but they were able to make $276.6 million, or in 2025, that would be $360.9 million. But they didn't make twice back what the budget was, unfortunately. Now, it opened on October the 3rd, 2017 at Dolby Theater. That's in Hollywood. And October the 6th in the rest of the United States in 2017. I seem to remember watching it in winter, so it might have been 3 or 4 months later I saw this. Anyways, they had ideas for a Blade Runner sequel dating back all the way back into the 1990s. But due to licensing disputes with the novel, never really happened. Now, the intellectual property was purchased from the original producer of Blade Runner, and that was Bud Yorkin. And they were able to, within that contract or that purchase, make a sequel. So they did. And Yorkin actually was a producer of the sequel as well. He has passed away. I don't know if he passed away actually before the film was released or after that, but he has passed away since then. Now, Ridley Scott originally was supposed to be the director of this film, but he stepped down. I think he was concentrating a lot on Alien Covenant, so he was unable to come in and direct the Blade Runner sequel. But in came Villeneuve, who stated, I've read, that the original Blade Runner actually ignited his passion to become a filmmaker. That's pretty special for him to be able to come in and direct a sequel to a film that did that for you. That's pretty awesome. Now, the story to this film, I'm going to say it seems like it's 5 times bigger than the original one. It's not quite. It's more like unraveling a mystery that really isn't. It's not like an Agatha Christie mystery, but it's the unraveling of a mystery, really. So to get into the story, like the original, we have an opening crawl at the beginning of the film. And it tells us that the Tyrell Corporation has gone bankrupt. And Neander Wallace, that's played by Jared Leto, he has bought out the company and is continuing to create replicants. Now, the character of Neander Wallace, it's a weird one, but yeah, these are weird movies, I guess, to the ordinary folk out there. Maybe Blade Runner, but he he's human, but he's blind, and he's definitely this film's Tyrell, in my opinion. Maybe even a little Roy Batty, but not really. But I don't know. But it's a bit of a weird role. The best scene with him, I think, is the one with Harrison Ford. I'll get to that later. But I'm not saying he's a bad actor. Please don't think I'm saying that. But I'm not a big Jared Leto fan. Maybe I just haven't seen his best work, perhaps. But I've seen him in 4 or 5 films. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's doing a bad job. It's just, just leaves me, I don't know, whatever. Now, the replicants that Wallace is creating now are open-ended in life. So they don't have the 4-year lifespan like they did in the original film. And they are now Nexus 8. They were Nexus 6, or Roy Batty and his group of replicants were Nexus 6. And of course, you know what, there's Blade Runners still hired by the Los Angeles Police Department that are retiring the replicants on Earth. So the film is set in, well, of course, 2049, and this time it's Ryan Gosling who plays the main Blade Runner, named K. Yes, the letter K. And now I think Gosling does a very good job in the role. I I to let you know, I don't run out and watch his films, but ones I've seen him in, he usually does a pretty good job, and he's a pretty good actor. I like what he does. Pretty good. Now, Kay is a Nexus 8 model, meaning he's a replicant. Now, he's aware that he's a replicant, all that. Now, the Model 8 replicants, or definitely these models, are like the Nexus 6, as in they have higher strength, higher pain tolerance, certainly smart, no problems in that department. And you see this within fights he has in the film with other replicants, including Dave Bautista, who was in the WWE and a very big man, and I would call him Sir if I saw him. He is too big. And Gosling does a good job in fighting him. I know Gosling's in great shape, but there's a big difference between the two men in size. So that proves to me, that's like the first scene in the film that these Nexus 8 models definitely have a higher strength than any man walking on the earth. So what's happened is, in the film, Kay finds the body of a replicant who died during childbirth, which is incredible. Now, Kay's boss, Lieutenant Joshi, played by Robin Wright. I always liked her. She thinks, she would not want anyone to know this, and she really hammers that home, that point of we can't let that information out. We gotta not let anybody know that. Now, within her character, I would definitely say, I'm not sure, like I'm warming up to her character. I'm not saying there was probably any problems in the acting department at all. It's her character. She's not really warm and fuzzy character. She's a piss tank, which I'm kind of like, we already went there with Rick Deckard. Why do we need another drunk cop? But I don't know. But I am warming up to her, and maybe in further viewings I'll be able to get more out of her character than I have so far. Now, Wallace. Back to Wallace. He's creating replicants, but what he's not able to do is have replicants do this. It was Tyrell that was able to create replicants that were able to give offspring, and it was the Nexus 7 models that were able to do this. So, of course, as we go along, Kay thinks he's the child. As a viewer, I was like, that's so easy that he's going to be the kid of, this replicant. We'll see what happens. He's not. Along his journey, he ends up in Las Vegas. He's looking for Rick Deckard. They meet up, but Kay is tailed, and Wallace's people, they're the bad guys. They take Deckard. So after Kay meets up with the rebels, replicant rebels, he learns that the baby was in fact a girl, not a boy. Oh dear. So Kay saves Deckard from the clutches of the replicant baddie named Love. Now, this was played by Sylvia Hoeks. I really liked this performance. I thought it was really good. And I would say maybe one of the more memorable performances in the film. She's tough and sexy. Is it okay that I find a robot sexy? I don't know. I said it. So anyway, Kay saves him so that he can then go meet his daughter. And that is Dr. Anna Stelline, played by Carla Jury, who actually creates the memories for the replicants. And it was her memories that she put into Kay. So he remembers what happened to her as a child, and it's her, yes, that he's seeming to remember and making this connection between him and the child that Rachel gave birth to, along with Deckard. It was their child, but it was actually her who was the child. So I'm going to do something a little different with this particular movie review. I'm not saying I'm going to do this for every other one. I think other movie reviewers have done this on YouTube, but I'm going to go through the pluses of the film and the minuses. I'll start with the minuses. Because I'm kind of getting moved around the boat on this one, right? I thought it was great. Then I was like, that's not good. Now I'm like, hey, it is better than I thought it was. So I'll go through both. I would say don't count the number of minuses and the number of pluses. I think the pluses, how they work, outweigh the minuses. And there'll be other things that I'll go through as well that are still positive. They're just, well, in my opinion, not as good as the original. So anyways, we'll start with the minuses. And I'm going to start with this film. I'm glad I haven't mentioned some of this so far, because these are the problems I have with it. But this film is way too long. Ridley Scott even said this film is like 30 minutes too long, I think he said. And I'm going to say absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's story to this, but this film is like 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's 45 minutes longer than the original, which, yeah, it didn't have enough story to go 2 hours, but it was the effects that really filled in the holes for me, and allowed that picture to go for that length. They really needed to do an editing job on this. Supposedly the original film was 4 hours long, but Villeneuve did not want to cut that into 2 separate films. He wanted it to carry into one story. And I got you, it works as one story. Absolutely. But you needed to cut out, you needed to edit this further down. It's so long, I find it self-indulgent. It's just too long. I'm sorry. Now, to go with that, kind of branching off from that, and you could say this was a problem with the first film as well. It's got very slow pacing. Like, at times, not much is happening in the matter of like 10 minutes. You could have a lot of looking at people's faces and, hey, didn't we already go that direction or look at that already? But here we are again. Stuff like that. It really slows the pace down, in my opinion. And personally, because of this, you could have helped this with editing, or just tightening of the scenes. I find there's too much dialogue. Where in the first one, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of dialogue. Like, there was enough dialogue, but this seems to be like there's pages and pages that they're going through, where maybe they needed to cut some of the dialogue out, in my opinion. It's a little too dialogue heavy in my mind. The fights as well, they're kind of pushed into the unbelievable territory, which unfortunately for me, a lot of newer films do this. I know they're Nexus. I know they're, have high strength, high pain tolerance. But throwing Harrison Ford into the mix now, he's going to start throwing haymakers on Ryan Gosling, who just takes it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little nitpicky there, but I don't know. That's one thing I had. Now, another minus I had, even though I said I enjoyed her performance, that's Sylvia Hoeks, but the villains are okay when I compare it to the original. There were 4 of them, replicants, and she kind of has to do that alone, in my opinion, to come against 4. They were all very well done in the original, very well done here too, but she is just one character. Neander Wallace, he's a villain too, but he's sort of like Tyrell, just sort of in, I don't want to say in the background, but he's not out, getting into the action, if you will. He's sitting back and giving the orders. Where in the original film you had Rutger Hauer in perhaps the greatest performance in his career, and it actually stole light from Harrison Ford, who put in a great performance. I thought it was great, but Rutger Hauer's performance was just so amazing that it was great. A great performance, and that's what you have to compare to here. Even though it's a totally different character, that's who you're comparing yourself to or coming up against. Now, next is Gaff. I love that he's in this film. I love that Edward James Olmos came back and is in the sequel. But man, he's got like 30 seconds of screen time. Yes, it's the same character. I love that. But are you telling me you never found Deckard? Never? Ever? Never came up against him? Then comes down to a question I have. And it's about the Nexus 7 models. And the whole big thing with the plot in that the replicants are able to give birth at this point. So we are going to assume, and I think this is the case, that Rachel is a Nexus 7 model, replicant, able to reproduce. But I definitely think that if Harrison Ford or Rick Deckard, Tyrell outs Rachel to Tyrell. And in this film they say they do it so that the two can procreate, or they can make babies as replicants. And I say to that, okay, I got you, but could there not be a better way for Tyrell to make this happen? Better circumstances where the creators could be up close. They could be, no way of escaping. Make sure that they are able to procreate. No outside interference. That makes sense. Because it's not like real pressures and stress from outside allow for that to happen. So it kind of, in my mind, it's a bit of a stretch that Tyrell would allow this to happen for that reason, that it doesn't make sense when all of this should have been done in a lab to find out if that could happen. If I'm getting that correctly, if that's why Tyrell made that happen, it doesn't make 100% sense to me that would happen. And now I will go over the pluses of the film. What we have here is a very well-made film. You have a very good director. You have a very good crew. Very good actors. I'm just saying that in the least here. You've got some good people at work here. So you're going to see a very well-made film. There's no doubt about that. Now, my next point is, and I really grabbed onto it on my third. On the second, I was like, no, they're going against it. No, I think It may not make 100% like go into everything with my theory of Blade Runner, what I saw, but a lot of it still works. Meaning, Harrison Ford or Rick Deckard is a replicant. He just ages. He's got an open-ended life, so he ages. The Nexus 6 models, I guess they aged, but 4 years, there's not much of a difference when you're already grown, you know, 20 or 30-year-old. There's not going to be much of a difference 4 years later in what you look like. But with the open-ended models, 30 years later, there's going to be a difference, and that's what we get here. The film is also great in showing technology of the future, how within, I don't want to say its grasp, but how within that world we are. Like, everything's allowed to work, and works definitely than our world. But it's just sort of, it's great in showing that technology going on. I liked as well things that were added to the film that are showing things that are artificial or not really there. You really get it in Las Vegas, I found, with when Elvis Presley and I think it was Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra show up and put in these performances, but they're not really there. They're holograms of these performers singing these songs for you. I like that. I did like that. I did think the film gets a nice little boost for me when Ford shows up. Hey, he's one of my favorite actors. I think the film gets a boost from him showing up for sure. I also like how Deckard splashes some Johnny Walker Black Label on the floor for the dog to lap up. Yeah, the dog's a little bit like Rick, just like his owner. Now, I really did like this scene too. I thought it was cool because it's a nod to the original for sure. When Rachel shows up, or, well, it isn't. It's a new replicant that they're trying to recreate Rachel for Deckard. I really like that. That was cool. And in turn, in the scene, I thought Ford did very well in this scene. Very good acting chops being shown there from Ford. Now, I haven't mentioned her yet. My favorite character in the film. I mean, yeah, I like Deckard. He doesn't show up till the third act, though. Kay's really good, the Blade Runner. But my favorite character in the film, and I seem to think, I read the novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, by Philip K. Dick. I seem to remember there being sort of like an idea or this character in there. Maybe I'm wrong. But the character's name is Joy, played very well by Ana de Armas. She is the significant other for Kay. But she's a hologram, or comes from a computer, like she's not real. But she does show things to me that may make her real. She's showing emotions. She shows she loves Kay, and shows emotions. But in the end, you do wonder, are they just programmed into her? Are those real? It's very good. I love the whole idea, like this world is totally fine, like Star Wars, with slavery. Because that's what replicants are. They're just slaves. That a slave has his own slave. That's really interesting. An interesting turn. And totally unexpected for me. And even in my initial viewing, I was like, ooh, I really like that. Second time watching it, I still really liked it. This time I'm like, yeah, she's my favorite character. That's really good. And I think yeah, the best part of the film is her and Gosling, like that relationship. I really enjoyed that, and it's a big plus for me. And sadly, she dies. Her, she's like the computer. This is gonna be a bad explanation here, but she's in this machine, like this. Somebody out there will know, but I think it was Love steps on it, like destroys it. So she's gone. She doesn't exist anymore. And right before that happens, she's going to tell Kay that she loves her, and she's like, "I love." Like I don't think she even was able to say the whole thing, and Kay's destroyed. Yeah, very sad, but man, makes it powerful. I think really works well. Now I'm done with the pluses, but these other things I'm going to mention, they are good things too. Now the film starts and continues with some pretty good music, done by Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfish. It mixes very well to the visuals you're seeing on the screen. Really blends in well, really well. But I gotta say, it is highly influenced or just based upon the work done by Vangelis in the original film. To me, I just asked, maybe they did this and they weren't able to get him. Why don't you just ask him to come back and write a new score or continue upon what he had written before? He was still alive and he was still putting out music, I think. He has since passed away, but I wonder why they didn't do that. Unless they did, and he said, "No, I'm busy doing something else right now." I'm not sure. Now, this film did win some Oscars. It did win an Oscar for cinematography for Roger Deakins. This is incredible to me. He was nominated an incredible 13 times before this, yet he never won an Oscar yet. 13 times. Included in those films, I'm not going to go through them all, but there was Shawshank Redemption, Fargo, Skyfall, to name a few. After this, he also won for cinematography for 1917. And then he was nominated again in 2023 for Empire of Light. So he was nominated an incredible 16 times. He did win 2 Oscars for cinematography. Great. Now, I'm not saying the cinematography isn't very good. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I am saying, though, is I do prefer the original look and how it looked. I've heard people say it blends wonderfully with the original, or you can't tell the difference. I can. There's a big difference. And I like the original better. Now, just one example of what I like better in the original was how Scott was able to blend black darkness with bright white lights together in the same shot, along with actors doing things. For example, I remember Deckard's going through the apartment building, but you could see like lights coming from the ship that's outside with the ads, the lights streaming through, lighting things up. That was spectacular. That was excellent and really placed you into that film, even though there is no machine outside there. Those are just lights. But yeah, it did a wonderful job in doing that. This version or vision, I don't want to make you think I'm really saying it's terrible, but I found it, in comparison, was blander, drabber, colder in certain respects, visually really, and actually this happened in the theater too, but on my TV I've seen it twice. I couldn't tell what was going on sometimes. I know I had a better look on the big screen. I could tell what was going on, but I was like, it's still not bright enough. I need lights. I need colors. I need light or something. I find the pictures too dark for me. I was really wanting strong, bold colors bleeding off of the screen to me, and that's not what I got. And maybe that's my problem, because that's what I wanted, but this is what the film is over here. But that's a problem I have with it. Not a minus, because it does look very good. And you are in that environment. That's all. Now, to add as well, when Rachel comes back, it was actually actor Lauren Petta with her face CGI'd to look like Sean Young. Still very effective. The film, I can't believe it, it's 8 years old now. Huh? Seems like I saw it just a few years ago. Oh boy. But I can tell it's not real, but it looks better than what we saw in the Star Wars film with Carrie Fisher and Peter Cushing. Both passed away. It was good, but this one's more effective, I think, than what we got in that film. Now, this film also won a second Oscar for visual effects, won by John Nelson, who also won one for Gladiator, directed by Ridley Scott. Great flick. And nominated for Iron Man and I, Robot. Gerd Nefzer also won Oscars for Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, also done by Denis Villeneuve, and Richard R. Hoover. He was nominated for 2 Oscars, and there were Armageddon and Superman Returns. And, there was also Paul Lambert as well, who won for First Man, also starring Ryan Gosling. Haven't seen that one. And Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 as well. A lot of Oscars being thrown around here for this group. But it didn't win, but it was also nominated for sound editing, sound mixing. Both of those went to Dunkirk, as well as production design. Lost that one, but it went to The Shape of Water. Saw that one. Great flick. Del Toro. Saw that one. Now, principal photography took place from between July and November of 2016, and they are currently working on a show for Blade Runner called Blade Runner 2099. And I think it will be on Prime, I think, when it's all said and done. And hey, maybe I should tune in. I got Prime, see what that looks like. Might be pretty cool. That'll be set, I'm believing, 50 years after this one. We keep jumping ahead in the future here. But that's it. So I definitely recommend Blade Runner 2049. I don't think it was as good as the original. But that's my opinion. Some people, I'm sure out there, think it's even better. Or some people think it's on the same level. But I say you got to go see it, watch it, and keep enjoying those Blade Runner flicks, man. But I'm getting excited. The next one I'm going to do, I think I'm going to get into some Star Trek flicks for you. Woo! Anyways, until next time, enjoy your movie watching.